This is Chariot TV.
Mimawakaba Eba Chariot TV. We Apologetic are. Me didn't danso. Me your host for program we. Then me was special guest via me the neighbor program you so near pensem command your one and then. Yeah, discuss science and a religion. Are they foes or friends? Now, Mesro say, me free program is so cry. Me free Chariot TV. Ni ya wonyoma bebre ne ye babe suapa ewa ha me guest am one woman channel oye Church of Christ preacher aye friend Jonathan Mensa Bonsu preacher ye mwakwa baba dwumedi so na apomboko de ya mi adom apomboko ye de nyankopon ase preacher we de na ye royal disuemu no religion and a science ye title mu komo pa. If you say you hear any technology arise here, and come over na bafauna, you can say religion preacher then any religion.
Okay, me da wasi. As in bisa will be some interesting. Na a very insightful question. Ana obisa. I was say itimi eti e ho ase e wo ne ma bi ho. Bibia mu no se betimi asuan de ni ate ase ya. I just say definitions I was say eti no, I was say etimi ti ase yi na eboa. Na sene wabisa no ma memfa akonya isuso na menchia wetiefo nyina na mensre se menchia enwanom suso a all committee 8 and 9 Church of Christ na any Churches of Christ are ashata e wi ase afa na nyina na the question what is religion?
Yes, a day na religion and as oson e we twi kasa.
Good. Kasa religion no our Latin origin.
Okay,
na the Latin origin regale.
Regalier.
R-E-L-I-G-A-R-E.
Okay.
That is the Latin.
Okay.
Now, it literally means to hold back or restrain. Say, hold the baby back, baby. See, the English word, say, because be a religious. It means, say, your name will be home, funny who is your name will be home, who free home. So, and only a dream, casa religion, a holding, na ekura. say only maybe wa fa ho nhye ma men kan dictionary definition baako emaye 19 mwa yetiefo or say it came to apply to the services and rituals and rules by which faith in and devotion to deity are expressed. Inti se you can religion say you can one involve a deity.
Okay.
Supernatural, supreme being. Good. That is the first thing I involve. Two, religion so involve some sort of rituals. You may be aware. See, belief it also involve a belief system. A belief idea be a wujid the okra ho eno. Inti you can religion that is in a nutshell. That is religion. And religion no sana definition.
And a preacher, say in Chemu say now the Madia, and I mean, who be a questions be a crab is what my dream every say. Matilda say, a man for Taikapa say, me fa Chrysosum the example. Say Chrysosum yet religion. But the who came in Sasama, a man for say Chrysosum any religion. As I'm putting a science in a Mesre say ubetimia abiebie no so mu kakra ma metiefu anka me beje pa
me da se pa it's normal nipa bibiri no a ikura say you can say Christosum a mostly you can say you can say Christianity is not a religion but a way of life. Sana ndo bibiri na no kura say well Christianity is Jesus Christ one for religion but you came to show us a way of life or a way of living and a relationship. Interesting, you know. Religion, a way of life at the same time, a Christianity, a way of life and at the same time, a religion.
Okay.
A religion, in a sense, is your belief system, your GD, and it involves a deity. Your ubia, yes, sorry, no, ubia, yes, some no, and it involves some rituals. Nioma way, see. In okati across all Christendom one associated Christianity na ade baako a dance no say ye nyina ye kwa asori ebia ye kwa asori ko bompa yi ye wo some new bi a ye broadcasting ye friend rituals and that can't bring it under the umbrella of religion.
Sure.
But it's a way of life. Adentia if you say a practical say you also live life no ne say you also ya wo no sa na Jesus Christ by e be kire. Christianity is not more of a theory, but practical things, how to relate with one another. Anything that people are looking at from the standpoint say a way of life. So it's a way of life at the same time a religion. And Kofua now say well, Jesus Christ one establish a religion, clearly a misnomer. Until I say,
me da se pa oniado for say wo hwe ya we apologetic na we njumedie so ende no ye discuss religion and science, foes or friends. Intimate say won share video ema foforo ye ntem na share ema foforo sa afi won like ye page wo Facebook na Chariot TV bo modi an like sisie ya YouTube ye channel no so subscribe ni ye wonyomo bibra ye bebre wo e wo ye program yi eso. Na preacher me da wase ne uncheche mu ade ma religion na ye fa science nso answer kran ye behwe science no back to the religion ubetimi amboa me ni betiefo ne yehu some kinds of religions wo wiase ansa na yetumi adoso mu say science ni ponso no eno ne de
okay good every beam have particular Ghana high one but from see our three main religions.
Okay.
Islam a religion Christianity a religion no so African traditional religion. See, be brim ha, soma na nanom ne de ade nsegu ni sane ma no so religion a wo ho. Wo do ni kire western world, eastern side of no so be say Hinduism prominent, be say Buddhism prominent. Iti saa no mani nyina ye asoma hodo a wo and so ni nyina to enseniania. So ni nyina to they all have a form of belief system wo krem. Yawo de Buddhist for GD, yawo de Hindus for AGD, yawo de Christians AGD, yawo de Muslims AGD. And yawo de traditional religion for no so AGD. Obia wo a belief system okura. This na come under the umbrella of religion. Omu nyina wo some form of a deity bia omo attribute to. Eastern religions, no, at times pantheism and a door. So pantheism, no, they don't have
say nyame bebre say pantheism no say me can be bigger craft and when I say more gods.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And most of the religions cry in the eastern side, you know, they believe say God exists in everything. Okay. So nyame a personal being somewhere.
Okay.
They have that. They need a personal being somewhere. More of like nature is God. That is their thinking. But in all of them, the fundamental issue is say, now a belief system. Now a supreme being. Dia now attribute man. Now some form of rituals. In Bible kind be and young to be. Never be also we underlines all of them. And then come under the umbrella of religion.
Okay. And then that's a power so now say ye to ayam common so and na ye who their religion ye ni one hour associate won ho no ye ka science nso and also in chiremu no e be yesese.
See, science in our context, a modern context, science is usually used in our context because it usually used there are a lot of things that are now come under the umbrella of science.
Okay.
It's all science. One more example, political science.
Yes, political
science.
They are can maybe sound political science.
Yes, science. Social science, science. See, I say science bibiara is anything that we study on an bibia you gaining knowledge you gain, then it comes under the umbrella of science. That is the first thing I'm person. But the idea any that loose definition one.
Okay.
That loose definition. You are not talking the kind of political science and the kind of sociology. That is not the loose definition. And once a year so back at the same one, fall under what we call the natural sciences.
Okay.
See, to say chemistry, to say physics, to say biology. What we call the natural science people. Typically, in schools.
Are we making out mathematics?
You can put mathematics in, but you can classify no more as a natural science like that.
Okay.
It might raise a whole issue, but not necessarily a natural science branch. But
okay.
math now is on its own also. But they all fall under the umbrella of science. We also math old school. Essentially, the person might be doing a Bachelor of Science in mathematics.
Okay.
They might be doing some sort of science study, but I don't want it to. I didn't sign money in about that umbrella of natural sciences.
Okay. And na preacher the sana okadia and na ye fano science physics chemistry biology sa adini e ka say ene religion no force and I say friends sa ni e ka no say meti de o kan na say clearly
yes sa ho ne e kan but ma me nkyere mu kakra ne ma bi na ye mo etiefo kakra.
Okay.
See, aside classification say your natural sciences na other social sciences or natural sciences na you focus on science mu no other classification I was here your what for friend operational science and experimental science.
Okay.
And your the almost friend historical science. Now my memoir for na intimate and what see operational science and experimental science no the course our lab. Things that we can verify, things that can be done in the lab. Operational science, obi state a theory, say BB a theory, and I say state a law. Operational science just say, you can go to the lab and verify at the cryo. You can verify, you can do an experiment. I verify law no cannot harmonize it can be demonstrated. Okay. A testable. See, a repeatable say I do not make as my no funny said my experiment be and making conclusion say experiment no indicate say any some theory be I was say sa de my no obi a funny say me Ghana obi a Canada etna se no method am de ye
So
now follow the same method. It has to have the same outcome and repeatability. And that aspect of science, your friend of operational science or experimental science.
Preacher, I would say a class in your name that ye shall say na in your say who follow the air corner, ye dig deep papa into science. And the members say ye best answer a team on the movie Kakrana, Obibiara will follow that tia say. Let's just say, they be a man for sorry now, science no crap.
Yes, you essentially no. I want to use a common man, a layman pointer. We didn't want to cast a science. He's talking about operational science. So be agent science. Then he's talking about.
And preacher, and all operational science. Not just say, cemetery. All can see here. A lot of times, people just say things without really understanding them because operational science here we can say you don't experiment. It should be. People should be able to repeat the same thing elsewhere.
Yes.
And get the same results.
Yes. Science is repeatable.
Okay.
It can be repeated. You see, any experiment you indicate your methodology.
Okay.
We indicate not only your method, but you also indicate your results.
Yeah.
Into also baby or person or verify the outcome. So follow a method then the outcome should be your same results.
Sure.
And that is the science we call operational science or experimental science.
Great.
Say a repeatable, a testable. It can be done in a lab. And it's something that is tangible.
And preacher, is that what we also call empirical testing or empirical evidence? Say my lab. Adia meeting them in them in so as smell and on your friend is Anna.
Yes, and then empirical simply means adia you can verify with your senses.
Okay.
The idea would you need to do an assertive can or they will touch and tasty fair. Sanya mano and your friend empirical evidence that you can easily see according to your senses. That is empirical evidence. And now your friend is it's fall within the realm of empirism.
Now, which first part? Look at say well, operational and also can.
Mami threw a little light on it on the operational science.
Okay.
For instance, in science, we know that whenever there is a changing magnetic field, it creates an electric field.
Preacher, and my audience, you know, when you into science, okay, changing magnetic field now. Okay, okay, me the better form. Yes, na me tiasia na say, me ntimi amwa me audience na say, ya amwa ya. Enti wo de oka,
mama me from kaka. The person me chere say, you know, the name old your friend is steam. So kaya, crab steam. If it is steam, wo de to magnet
na chi.
If it is steam, wo de to na echuchi metal.
But enuanom yam friend is steam, magnet.
Yes. And whenever there is a magnet, there is a field created around the magnet. Now I'm saying a changing magnetic field. The magnet that field created around the magnet. But when you are changing a magnetic field, it induces what we call an electric field. If I say cable, cable wire at that. Now all the light power FM1. You see the cable no electric current and then. But the electric current will generate an electric field. That electric field they generate now a changing it will also induce or create a magnetic field.
What you call electromagnetism.
The entire change you see that is a law. And then in science whenever there is a changing magnetic field, it creates an electric field. We know that.
That's true.
Now you are tested several times over and over again. And through that testing, studying, repeating in the lab, and the basis of most of our technologies that we have in the world. Electricity you see, is simply because we understand magnet. Yet magnet, I say how magnet behave, then magnet say what electromagnet it can turn when you are turning. You see, I say anything you generate electricity, phones they are all based on technologies like that.
Yeah.
In the arena, so in the context of operational science. I say it is something that you can do in the lab. You can test it, you can prove it. Like I say, what is your prover? You just walk in the lab and test it for us to see.
Yeah.
Indeed, for instance, your ball you can show something. Will be argue say, well, there is a force that is coming, approaching. We can monitor ball movement. Now, calculation, the sensors then they steady motion, speed, they call force, man. Then we can make reductions. Arrival at conclusion. And that is operational science.
Thank you.
But the other side of the coin, any historical science.
Okay.
Historical science, idea no obieni. That is where the idea of history, historical science. Idea we are no obieni. But we are using evidence now to looking at the evidence. We are making conclusions from the evidence now to tell us what was happening back then.
So more of telling the story, what happened in the past.
Good.
And possibly can we also project into the future with the historical science? Or
yes,
it only looks at the past?
It can look into the future. But the key thing is we look at the evidence. Nioma we are say. Now you heard Nioma yewa, ni adwin say well Nioma yewo ye no. It implies then Caneno 10 years later ago, 50 years ago, 1,000 years ago, say na etie. But abeye say
that's the historical science.
That is the historical science. Indeed, it's not something we can test in a lab. We can test in a lab. Mama example. For instance, the question of where does this world come from? We are seeing if you in a Bible. You won't meet someone who understands his science and he will be telling you that this is something that can be repeated in a lab. You can't repeat that action. To me, say, it will be a thing to simulate it in a lab is yes. Okay. And what those people or answer that question are doing is they are looking at evidence now available on earth. We are shares in the city. We are temperatures in the city. Antennas then we are taking readings of waves looking at the cosmic waves in your air. Then from there they deduce well then it means that we are seeing air it came at this time. Now it is saying we are sitting and and it is applied in a lot of fields. The main kind way it's applied a lot of, for instance, so baby, see baby now investigation about see they were not there when
forensic scientists.
Good. Say they are saying one comfort be this kind of war no, they were not there. But they can come and look at evidence available. Say Oba say the way we see achia ne ho eda ho no. Omo hwɛ saa na omo compare abia to cases a omo hunu wo wiase a so obi chia ne ho say na abia moja etu no this side of Libya and rape and I say abia wadane say those deductions no ana ebe inform me say well abia ohye a na wo no sekan ana obi ana bonu tu obi bonu tu a abia na onipa ni gina ha
ana left and right
those things.
Preacher, me that's new insight or the my so now kind of this lesson and Kasano is really insightful. Religion and science, foes or friends. Now me Koswa Kai will say this is Apologetic and we are on Charity TV discussing this great topic. I would please encourage you to do this for me. Share video no matter for invite your friends. Preacher, not just say you share historical science in Kwa. That means a lot of assumptions will have to be made.
Yes, of course.
Because then I can say, Obano Obi the Honoma. No, even though you might make some guesses, no, you have to put in some assumptions. For example, say Mebana say Ken Obi Ashia could do certain pointer. I would only make assumptions say maybe it has been burning using the same rate. Say every 5 minutes we are 3 meters every 5. And no say assumption I'm making to make me wrong. Anna.
Yes. Essentially, historical science trying to tell us and inform us about the origin of the world, they base on a lot of assumptions. One of them particularly is what we call uniform materialism.
Uniform materialism.
Yes, that is essentially as some our kind. Say, you should say we are sequel. You should say we are say a sequel. We postulate say then sa it has always been the same way, going the same rate. In this then we can look back and assume say a corner then you better try say you better reverse the process. You better try say you better check it back. Your calculations you better back say you call this rate then let's check it back. Now you timanya a bra a shall any how is
conditions are not present.
So it's hinged on that fundamental assumption. Say things that are going on, the processes going on in this world, they have always been the same rate.
Preacher, wait there. Me travel no. Emianu of no. That statement ya preacher make ya obi catch me baby. Say enya sanity. But the okay mama tia say then it means can we can we be very certain say this uniform assumption here with materialism it's always true?
No, it's not always true. It's first what they can assumption just say idea you need evidence for it. You need evidence for it. Now the man idea no in our context and says prediction. So yeah, prediction. One, idea also factor in time range between the prediction. For instance, say enkofobi boboa, my main fanko future kakra. Say enkofobi boboa. Na ebia yinim say bi bobo matcha. Because of neoma omo form, current form, someone can easily predict the score. Yeah. Easily, because between time our kind of prediction and the time our board
too close.
Too close. But imagine say sports journalist be a radio station. Now person predict ebia match ebia Barcelona and Madrid ebebo 1,000 years to come.
Hey, can make a 2030.
See, when they say
can we make a 2030 now? They are 1,000 years.
Yes, that is how it talks about the world. You can say cosmology. That is what they are trying to tell us. For they say it will be radio TV journalists be a radio station. Now a person predicted 1,000 years. Match Chelsea ni Barcelona, and I said Madrid ni Barcelona.
Say Chelsea Besha Barca.
Yes, now I predicted those things. It will be difficult. Following say send a Chelsea form city no. Ombabo sa they are called sad time.
Can't be certain.
It can't be. It's a gross.
So at that point we are breaking logic.
Yes. Now that is the issue with that uniform materialism. The issue is they say a short time there, then the prediction can help us, and it's good. It's true. It helps us in a lot of things. For instance, with that technology now you can go to a lab. They take some of your samples, even can predict your age because of dating techniques that we are having and things of that nature. Yeah. You see, for a short period of time, the error margin is very low to the extent that you might see exact because it's a short period. But when you are taking it so far back, then the error margin now becomes so huge.
The odds increases.
Yes, it becomes so huge. You say. Now it's difficult to be going that direction. Now, we are centered as here. You see, the moment we say, well, we are scientists, it shakes a lot of people say, hey, if it's a scientist there, then it's true. It's a scientist, they are anyway, and okay. You say, only why they challenge scientists. But you see, nyoma say, those who are for science, let's say against science, but those who are for say, well. If you move the buy evolution, you truth animal, they will always charge people who don't believe in evolution. Say, well, so who believe in evolution? Then science in my TV, the OG too. See, that's comparing apples with oranges.
Then preacher, then we should underline this and make it clear. Say, the error margin should be noted.
Yes.
Because if we want to do this now, then those approximations, no, and the errors, and like you mentioned, says it will be a scientist behind an experimenter or man methodology, no man results. No, I think one thing we also factor in error analysis.
Yes, and even aside even historical science, no? For instance, with the operational science, say lab now we experimenter, you factor in errors that you make. You need ideal lab work. He say, oh yeah, experiment. So ideal without error. No, you need this out. It means that it comes along with errors. And even your mind will be a senior there. So for instance, so who's there? Who sitting in an electronic class? For instance, your child will say a diode and a transistor one someone. They will first the textbook will be in cash as an ideal case. But also ideal case, no. But you want to say you need ideal transistor.
Yeah.
You need ideal diode, but he will teach you first the ideal case. The actual say with all our technology in even experimental science, there are still associated errors. Are they demonstrating lab? There are still associated errors. How much more say are they how person will tell Neoma so many years and errors into me. Then say there are limitations that the scientists can do.
That is the next point. No, say the limitations that science have. It's preacher. You made the point. Say there are certain things that today people have failed to appreciate. Say, obisa na okaya na say program you see technology near there. Now they na we ababeka say science for na asa aka bibia kire wa unjintum. You see sometimes scientists bitimi ade baako ye beji atu. Na scientists call number be can say fufuro yes we there. Ye njintum no be say what then I think this answers it. The error margins and the analysis, no.
Yes. Now I will say, Yama, it's for say science has limitations. See, science does not answer all questions.
Underlined. Science has limitations.
Science, no.
Science has limitations.
Yes, our limitations. Your new man science 18 years, and your new man with all you better realize say intimate. With technology in this animal, you see, there are things that we can test in the lab. Cars are here, we will advance and advance because there are things that we can test them in lab. But science don't ask or answer the questions of origin with certainty. No. You need a science can answer
another good statement I have underlined. Science can't make origin statement with certainty.
No, what do you mean answer the question of the origin of humans or the origin of life or the origin of the world with certainty? No. And you know, nipa will be cast sanity and na say wunim dia woka. And you know, say science can make or na say can stipulate something on the origin of life or the origin of the world with certainty. No. Enti masa. Enti yentia say that brings in the issue of religion. You see, religion also baby or no so now. Into the question say, well, religion and science are they so friends?
So then answer the question for us. So at this point, based on all that you are saying, we've said a lot of things.
Yes.
Religion and science are they foes or friends?
You see, they are friends. You see, they are friends.
You are choosing friends.
Yes, they are friends. The issue is with false science, and the issue is with false religion.
Okay.
On both sides, we have issues. Wrong.
Preacher, before we move on to whether false religion and false science to that point now, how do we know that religion, the true religion and true science, they are friends?
Yes. True religion and true science. The entire make sure we did not start say. True religion is not, and I say, obi a odi osum papa okre som achi. Then you believe in God. Say Nyankopon the bo wiase. Say obi Nyankopon the bo wiase dia, you know say Nyankopon bo wiase. He made laws in the world. Sa laws no ana science for no ehu.
Okay.
You see Nyankopon no bo ni wiase no, ana obo gravity. On the year how a obetimi a suspend it or be hang it on nothing. You see on the board is law. But science, the scientists later no back later years back no go say sanity. Nyankopon no bo ni wiase. Ana obo say Aponchin sebi owa aponchin. See, life beget life of its own kind.
Yeah.
Into years back, scientists is agreeing with what God
has already been
made. He might not state it in a scientific law, but scientists don't make laws themselves. See, Obiasimo can say the laws of science, they are descriptive, they are not prescriptive.
The laws of science, and they want to make it code with you. Wow, but you always use codes in the also referencing feature. The laws of when you quote and then the author say the laws of science are descriptive,
yes,
not prescriptive.
Yes, my main choice see, unlike human laws, when I say Ghana ha emra ebi emra ba ko wa say well, be man ko oba dwaye. See, oba so ko be dwaye. Ebi I'm just using that literal.
Yeah. Let's
assume say law. When I say bia udu highway, you're not supposed to drive maybe 300 kilometers per hour, and that's that speed, top speed like that. You understand? Some law no, a prescriptive law, and describing BBI it doesn't describe anything, and describing, but the laws of science, they describe nature. Saying nature see behavior. They are descriptive. They are not prescriptive. Descriptive in a sense, how the laws of science will tell you say it will answer why it is say. I don't know it will answer that. It has to answer why jump free a dinosaur you are not stating that it's a prescriptive law. It describes how nature works. How nature works. That is essentially the area. Or the description I describe in the nipa obey we are is not on a stated law in the sense as what prescribes said this is how the sun has to behave. And this is how when you change a magnet, you move a magnet from this, it will create this. Really, on creating a description, idea or observable, and what state says, sana idea will behave. So it's more is a descriptive law rather than a prescriptive law.
So I think at the latter part of Yankomo, maybe our question, the Enya no never can say, but maybe so.
Yes.
After scientists early scientists shall say. Building what we know today as the natural sciences now kind. Most of them did that because they wanted to understand and appreciate what God had done. Yes. When we get there, you throw more light on that part. But to the false religion and false science, are they friends or foes?
Are they false? It simply implies there are inconsistency in it.
Okay.
Are they false? Then one thing a bit inconsistency. So false science has a lot of inconsistency inside. It has a lot of unanswered questions. It has a lot of contradictions inside it. Slightly so, false religion has a lot of contradictions. And because of inconsistency, now coherent, they will contradict. They will clash.
Fight each other.
They will fight.
Therefore, they are foes.
Yes, they are foes. But true science is not an enemy to religion. No. Religion and I'm not coin. See, religion on I'm not coin. Science also and I'm not coin. True science in himself, he are limited on the question of origin. He can try as much as possible trying to know, but are limited on the question of origins.
Okay.
See, science religion so or also in himself, or you're limited on the question of say, or not try to write science laws. You see, for instance, the Bible was not written as a science textbook. Now, what watch your Bible? I'm trying to say a science textbook. Am I native? But see a kind Bible passage. Okay. Very interesting. I think now I share light on some of the things I can. First Timothy. Yes, chapter 6.
1 Timothy 6.
Yes.
Hawking can say. 6 verse
20.
1 Timothy 6 verse number 20. Bible says, "Oh Timothy, guard what was committed to your trust, avoiding the profane and idle babblings and contradictions of what is falsely called knowledge.
Yes.
And professing it, some have strayed concerning the faith. Grace be with you. Amen."
Amen. You see, Paul was some catching Timothy and say, things that are falsely called, or translation you see the word knowledge.
Other translations say you see
King James
science.
You see the word things that are falsely called science. Well, it's not a better translation maybe in the sense of that verse, particular verse, in the sense the word there which is translated in the King James science occurs a lot of times in the Bible, particularly the New Testament. The word gnosis, and in several occasions in the King James, it is translated knowledge. You see, knowledge. So it's not particularly science per se, but the King James translators, by say falsely called knowledge, science. But I
think that's why they made a correction in the
New King James. They brought, because for instance in Romans chapter 2, verse number 20, Paul can say a form of knowledge in the law. The form of knowledge, the word knowledge there is the same word gnosis. Okay. It's occurring here. But the Paul episode Timothy Abidina to say, near my Adibo high in you need no cry a title, but in Kofubi Wapa a friend in India. A more Wapa a friend sense. See, you begin say, you're quite a you better so many things about reaching, big bang, and
you know, me questions in the preacher wa hey dear, obeying na ntia koswa na bra, like a page no share, na yankoswa ni yensua de mpacho send questions or comment bia obi afaba comment section na ya interact obetumi IS amai.
Enti dear ebeba na amwate asene say see nipa bebre na no ehunu false science no as such say nipa bebre na cash nipa adwene mu say ene na science. Enti it is falsely claimed as a science. For instance, evolution. It is claimed by people say evolution is a fact. There's a fact means what we need to say what
preacher who make bold scientific statement and as a bold claims say evolution is not a scientific fact.
No, it's a scientific fact. Scientific fact, it takes a lot of proving. Yes, we will look at it. See, evolution, a lot of loopholes and so science na udwin hudia. Ade ba kwa ba conclude say macro evolution. We call it macro evolution, and the organic evolution. A force. See, a force is based on a lot of assumptions. And it cannot be even proved. All the cases I'm making, all the arguments are more advanced. It goes back with studies, science, a lot of studies now. I verify at the corner or more claim say evidence backing organic evolution is a force. This year we will be looking at all these things. The
better that as a special topic, a real party.
Yes, but the person with you for engineers and says, remember, Nipa move say, well, so be a friend of scientist. Now you got doctor degree or not, a doctor, so. You bet being a Wakabian and you'll be a Wakabian and no. See, for so many years, already the history of science, so many years now, there are a lot of things people who were very skilled in science said something which we now know that is false. Which we now know is false. Even the famous Albert Einstein had things on one kind say some of them he fought it to disprove it. See, or try the best and the research try say or better disprove that. But years now, we now know say well Albert we now boy. See, because with science, with experimentation, with studies ongoing, then science is improving on the knowledge stock. The knowledge stock science is improving. For instance, several years back, the famous Aristotle believed that so we say why do so to ball na equal na adna stop. Aristotle say obobo na ball na kwa the nti ejina ne say wabre
nti na ejina
wabre nti na ejina adentina otu moon no echo round the earth no or say and I say otu bibia e back earth no or say well everything be falls in love with the earth into bibia has to come the now
but this was a thinker, a famous thinker.
Yes, And people accepted that nipa G2 say no cray, say the tear, or say yes, say I don't want kind of cray. But years now, you see and you who say so, say no man or come, they are true. It's no more. Indeed, Sunday a person at your portion and so say false signs, and idea will be casting in Diano. I was saying, if you near her say, as someone or can, is it backed by evidence? Are there any underlying assumptions be on her so baby ye? I kata so and one thing particular with the evolution is they cover the assumptions. All my own assumptions, you know, because there will be assumptions super.
A bit blown the cover.
A bit blown the cover. Indeed, mostly they cover their assumptions. Say now I'm not projecting say a fact, a theory, a law. In the one media, then that being all the scientific community, the best scientists in the world now agrees. So when you need the answer, then it confused the masses. But Paul, as some worker Timothy, and I believe that Paul said, "Adibia or boa perfect things that is falsely called knowledge."
Okay.
Timothy on China, on China home. Now, say philosophy, which is a false. There are a lot of false philosophies in the world. Say scientific studies are false. All these things, or say religion. You see, religion monochrano. There are things that are falsely called knowledge, which are not. You know now cheating what you are doing just so that. Say Sanyo manu omo ke kada omo kasa etieno. Chewufi shine those things.
But preacher, me bisa. Say untimi ntwe hu mfiri ade a wuni. Because say baako a me pese about false science yi baako e say we are seeing edi over 13.8 billion years old.
Yes.
Obi na kan answer was say science to me nchira say bi no wa big figure bi di ahye hona wakita for all the time.
Yes.
But I think say nyame aduma your next discussion e be ye no obeboa any is a question no about bra ye chire evolution in science ni aba be chire say we are saying am pass billions of years and also
yeah,
be can one say
a short one on it is say from my standpoint and from the name we are saying and from revelation you see we know that the world is not that years old 13.8 billion years. No, it's not. See,
backed by evidence.
Yes, if you internet as well, you hear young creationism, young earth, young creationism, young one. You see, and sadly, so young kofwa suppose the almost omoje Bible there. They are for this scientific communities also. See, almost satisfy science. Now almost satisfy religion. My interesting example be me back across. I was very young at that time. Now, Mekai said, "Na many Jehovah Witness be Asia there." Now, only make us about religion the other day, and he made an interesting point. Na his point or kind said, "Say Nyankopon pese obo wiase with 1 billion years, he can do that." I'm catching a match at that time. As my maker say, well, he can also choose to create it in 6 seconds. But much is say whether you can call it 6 seconds or 1 billion, but your catcher or transcend say or say it says this.
Yeah.
Some of kind. But it didn't strike me there at that time. Say those religious group, no, but Jehovah Witness maker, for instance, they believe that the world was created in that long years. Like the scientist who is trying to accommodate that long period.
Is this person not trying to put science and religion together, or these are two false sciences being placed together?
Not also put science and religion together, or per se or satisfy.
Okay.
Now what people are falsely calling knowledge.
Okay.
Indeed, it's a compromise. It's not a merging. The science, true science, any Bible, they verify each other.
Again, another underlying point. This is a compromise, not merging. Because we should try and merge the science. But what they were actually doing was that they were compromising.
Yes. See, for years, Christianity history, for years, no one was thinking of an 8-day theory, 1,000-year, billion. They were not thinking about it until the science came on board. Abra science, not science describe say we are saying was created this day. Then and I'm saying science nyoma bebre no na nipa say you accommodate for science what they were trying to do they said then yen say betimi I interpret the Bible in such a way that it will fit in the scientific timetable. Then that compromise came inside. It's not a merging of science and religion. No, it's a compromise. Say, a person compromising by and always it's the Bible that falls. See, the people are compromising. Nobody who they don't compromise the science. Okay. It's the Bible because they want to be seen within the academic circles as people who are what? Bright. As people who are intelligent. And you see, scientists, those not all scientists, but those who are of the view that the world was created billions and billions of years ago, they look at people who believe in the Bible as people with a blind faith. They look at people as people with faith. And their definition of the word faith,
so they are defining what we believe
yes.
For us.
Yes, they believe that faith, faith,
that is not what the Bible says.
And that is far from what the Bible is saying. And even within people in the religious circle, particularly Christendom, at times that is how our people define faith. Faith, we discuss it. We don't think about it. And at times we make it look like the Bible cannot be even logical, which is sad. The Bible cannot say we the one dream bam person tia.
Eh, obeka just say what the one dream na chire what the one dream chire dia
but look at Mamincho passage, Romans chapter 12. It's but Mamincho that passage, Romans chapter 12, verse number 1.
Romans 12, verse number 1.
Yes.
Or say, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service.
Which is your reasonable. That is the word logikos. The word we get our logic from is in the Bible. Most somewhere the Bible is not a faith and a superstition. Good. Superstition is a belief in something without evidence.
Yeah.
Evidence in teaching. That is superstition. But what suppose scientific community who advanced degrees and things like that. Would you say, well, then I'm going to be and things like that. Or one more Bible there. They look at us as superstitious people. One more evidence being into and no too. But that is not the case at all. That's not the case. But it's backed with evidence. See, the minute says science, the Bible doesn't contradict science and things. They are backed with evidence.
Okay.
They are backed with evidence. And sana a person a team for and so
where the preacher, you say, yet na ne chano.
Yes.
And agro near the sona a day san impressive for sana ye papa na ye mamino or mocatre. Now, answer ye beja ye commonisi and I to also Yankopon Adman next week. Matisse, Pembe Biaman for Taika ye afraid be the God of the gaps. So the more we discover stuff in science, the more we close the gap for God. Therefore, say you be more evidence. As I mean, example, about come tidy man and say, first na young baby tender everybody. Now nipa insert the idea of God of tender. That is tall. In the science, how tender comes about, how lightning comes about, static electricity, how all these things come about. We've eliminated that idea of God of tender, tall. So, is it not possible, as our last but one question for our show today, say, a bit to the point to be science back up space, near close it bam, there's no God.
Okay, but that's it. The thing is, with more knowledge, dispel myth. Unless Bible no myth.
Okay.
See, knowledge abraham dear koso then superstition so for. Then I make sure you just Bible which any superstitious belief. And yes, sir.
Mythical.
Debbie, and yes, sir. Interesting, there is a passage in the Bible that talks about that. my for Acts chapter 17.
Acts chapter 17.
Yes. Osman for Paul, Echo Gobi. I have found Athens so.
Yeah.
Now, Onam Athens, the Athens was one of the intelligentsia of the ancient world.
Okay.
Brilliant people, India adults, or into Onam Sakunuano, Anna, all kind of men who want some church. But the people had a lot of superstition, there. Shall they be Acts chapter 17, verse number 22.
Then Paul stood in the midst of the Areopagus and said, Men of Athens, I perceive that in all things you are very religious.
Good. You see, Paul, and I'm now kind of some. I realize that go for no for interestingly, in the town, Paul calls Athens, they had a hill. Omode Emma and Yamibi. And now, Bible ne kind of Areopagus. Argos is the god of war. The Roman for Mars. In you other translation, Rebecca Church say Mars Hill.
Okay, yeah.
Argos, yes. Rome
Mars
that
Hill.
Mars Hill.
Yeah.
Mars is Arios. The Argos Pagus when a hill dedicated to the god of war, Mars. But Paul Bejina Hono, our name Mukasana. No, say, at a member. We won't say, never people. The King James used the word very religious.
Yes.
That is the word they see diamond. They see diamond is like the Ebemiati as a fear of demons. So we the man that mythical belief system was there. But Paul no Gina who no. But the poor catcher wasn't superstitious belief. In the King James translation, was I perceive in all things you are very superstitious. But the Christian faith is not a superstitious faith. And yet, GDR evidence and tertiary, that is not it. It says, Abraham signs they are advancing here, they ever feeling here, you will be casting away all the superstitions in the world. You actually feel in for God. The Bible drew pempen so it means the Bible no can so many years. Actually, so many times. There's an interesting scientist, one of the foremost scientists in astronomy, Robert Jastrow. Foremost scientist.
Dr. Robert Jastrow.
Yes, foremost scientist in astrology. Well, he was a Christian anyway. Just that he was an atheist, or you'll be a one in a mini. And looking at the evidence and upon evidence, one of his quotes are okay, and he said, "I say the scientists of my picture said the scientists will be climbing knowledge upon knowledge, the hill of knowledge. About knowledge in the air, climbing the hill of knowledge, knowledge.
That.
But obeying the topmost,
the theologian,
you go and meet a bunch of theologians.
See, who has been sitting there?
As someone will catch and say, hello, brother.
We are welcome.
You are welcome. As someone you catch a woman,
that's a powerful quote.
It's not said. Science, with science coming in, it will kill God. The interesting issue in the event of philosophy. There was one philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche, one of the famous philosophers.
Even he appeared on the Time magazine.
Yes.
He said that God is dead.
Yes, he said that with knowledge, then we are doing God's funeral. He did not do it. He said, "Well, we have killed God."
He really said very.
Yes. So what he did was that. Chasseur publishes US and things like that. People were talking, God is dead, God is dead, God is dead. And then on one case, Friedrich now he's dead. He's dead.
God is alive.
God is alive. We can ask him say, God on Yarimpu. You see, it's knowledge then make superstitions and those things are going.
Wow.
But not good.
Wow. This has been a very, very insightful discussion, as we said from the start. And I believe you have learned so much, because myself I've learned a lot today, from operational science to historical science to a whole lot of things today. Religion and science, are they foes or friends? and then your guest Mr. Jonathan Mensah so a preacher committee 8 and 9 Church of Christ Nyankopon enhia bebre wo enne chechimu a wodi amaye na me de se me twa adwe nyina ba so ye sua ekura ansa na eri ubewi a Acts chapter 17 no so wo explanation e course no a me gidi se wo sua ade ne pa bi se me so me sua ade Onyankopon onhia Onyankopon onka ho na Nyankopon ya aduma next week same time se eni hia wo apologetic no ye pense mu ni esua ho ade se evolution and a science simple you bet me the same skills one and I say evolution and fact of science and Timester also by kind now Nyankopon next week your sons will share news there. I'm your host Derek Danso and I say God richly bless you and preacher meaning say ube chair obi bia sana ya cry thief wa
na me chair my wife
the bia ba o so bo ni din full
say me bo ni din gift na the other half no anime. Essentially it's a solve issue no on that guy.
Okay.
Now within Chianso ma elders of committee International of Christ Dickens and members e wo nyina na mechia Churches of Christ na the say say yon so okopani na yanko na ekunim ewo obrechi.
Amen. Yedo bi bia asese o kan ho we Chariot TV and Apologetic is the program. God richly bless you. Bye bye.
Oh,